Now is your time to fledge.
What up, everybody, and welcome back to the 13th floor, where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are amazing. Of course, I am your host, B. Jones, and I'd like to thank everybody for listening to us. We're going to jump into a special edition series right now. We're going to jump into introducing you to Fledgeology, the team. So I'm going to go first, and today I'll be hopping out of my moderator seat, and I'm going to invite Carol. What's going on, man?
What's going on, Brett? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm going to invite Carol into my seat so he can run the show how he sees fit.
Now, you know, once I get into the seat, I might not get out, right?
Yes, I definitely took that into heavy consideration. However, you know, the people need to know who their moderator is. So I'm going to go ahead and go first. That way I can get back into my seat and on to hosting my show.
All right. I mean, that all sounds good, but just so you know, for this particular show, it's going to be my show. So all the stuff that you're used to doing, that you like to do, that's out the window. Just so you know.
That's all fair.
Okay. So you ready? You good? You good with all that?
All right, man. I think I'm ready. I'm the guest today.
Okay. So with that being said, you know, I don't go anywhere without my DJ, Barry B. Fresh. So Barry B, hit me with that intro track. That's right. We're going to start all over again. Go ahead. Hit him with that track, man. Welcome to the 13th floor, ladies and gentlemen, where the furniture isn't the best, but the views are amazing. I am your host today, the prolific one, also known as Carol, also known as the Disruptor. That's right. I disrupt your life. That's what I do. Just like I disrupted B. Jones's ability to host this show. But speaking of B. Jones, he is our special invited guest today. I noticed I said invited.
He invited me to my show. Y'all hear this?
we will be kicking off the special series where you get to meet Team Fledgeology and all of our Fledge mates. Brett was kind enough to go first, so you all don't know it, but we're a very, very rambunctious group. And it takes a hell of a person to be able to manage all the different personalities that you all will meet. And I think you all will agree by the time we get through this series. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the show, B. Jones.
What's good? What's happening? Let's get into the show, man. I'm ready.
All right, man. You sound real excited to be a guest, man. That's good. That's good. I like your excitement for being a guest.
I'm just happy to talk to the people, man. You know, I don't think that the way that we formatted the show as we started out, they didn't really get a chance to, get to know who I am, who you were, who the team was. They just got to, experience us speaking on various topics. So this is an opportunity to, let them inside a little bit.
I agree. So we're going to do that, and we're going to kick it off right now. So Brett Jones, also known as B. Jones, also known as the Moderator. Give us a little background into who B. Jones, how you even got here. Talk to us a little bit about, just your history, where were you born, your family life, and let's start there.
So I was born in Florida. I'm a Florida boy at heart. Summer Florida. I was born in St. Pete. And, from there, family background, I have a military background. So born in Florida, moved around a whole lot, man. I can remember, we were in Alabama at one point, Alaska, back to Florida, to Georgia, back to Florida, and then ultimately ended up in Virginia. So Florida born, but Virginia raised. Shout out Petersburg, 804, 2 up, 2 down. Petersburg, Virginia is, for the most part, what made me. And that's the early history.
Allow me to stop you there. So you said that you were born in St. Pete. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Florida, that's St. Petersburg, Florida. It's on the west coast of Florida, between Tampa area. So that's where he's from.
Yeah, man, Juke City, man, we do it.
Juke City. Okay, nice. You mentioned that you were in a military family and you moved around quite a bit. And one of the places that you mentioned was Alaska. And there are not that many people that are familiar with Alaska. However, I am, so I know that if you in the military, if your father was in the military, he was either in Anchorage or Fairbanks. So which one were you in?
Right, we were in Anchorage. So yeah, for all those who aren't too familiar with Alaska, I'm gonna give you two things, man, that you will see if you're in Alaska. Maybe not the second, but the first one is a moose. All right, and when I was a youth, I woke up one morning, like 4 or 5 years old, something like that, and huge animal just chilling in my backyard, like just chilling.
There was a bullwinkle.
Bullwinkle.
There was a bullwinkle in the yard.
Sitting in the backyard, and this thing is huge. So you will see moose in Alaska. And the other thing I can recall, like that's just a real funny experience. So if you're familiar with Dumb and Dumber, and you know when they were on the ski lift and the guy licks the ski lift and his tongue actually gets stuck to the ski lift. So we're in Alaska, I was outside, and some young man, unbeknownst to me, decided to lick the light pole in freezing temperature. So of course his tongue actually ended up getting stuck to the light pole. So I got to see that whole experience, him crying, mommy, mommy, mommy. But we're like, because his tongue is stuck to the light pole. And then, you know, the ambulance comes, they heat up the pole and everything. It was pretty interesting.
So was that from Dumb and Dumber, or was that from A Christmas Story? Because I remember seeing that in A Christmas Story.
I can recall it in Dumb and Dumber. I don't know that I've ever seen A Christmas Story. But yeah, it definitely happened in real life.
You've never seen Ralphie that wanted the shotgun, the BB gun for Christmas, and they were always like, "You're gonna shoot your eye out."
Nah, man, that doesn't ring any bells.
All right, man, you need to put that on your list of movies to watch next holiday season.
I'll add it to the list with The Matrix. So yeah.
Yes, please do. Another great movie, The Matrix, one of my personal favorites. So the military, you moved around a lot. Big family, small family, what does that look like?
Yeah, so me, my dad, my mom, I have a brother who was actually born in Alaska, so yeah, he's an Eskimo. And I have two sisters, one who is actually in Hawaii right now, and then another one that's back in St. Petersburg today. So not huge family, but yeah. And I am the oldest of the bunch.
Oh, nice. So you're the oldest brother, which you're not the oldest in this group.
Not at all.
I'm sure that plays a dynamic for you, considering that you've never seen A Christmas Story. There's certain wrestlers that you don't know, never heard of, and that's okay. Keep hanging around us. We'll rub off on you, and things will be fine.
Yeah, you know, I'm always thankful for the wisdom from the old souls, man. You know,
the old souls. Remember, this is my show. Please don't be. I can't have you removed from the studio. Just remember those things, okay? Nobody cares about who you are today in the studio. So you can't get put out. So the military, man, a lot of moving around. I'm a little bit familiar with what that looks like. I've actually been to Alaska because my brother was stationed there. So I'll save that for my turn to intro myself. I'm sure that'll be a great show. But in the meantime, I come from a long line of military folks, so I know what that moving around is like. So how did that help shape you in the early days? What was that experience like? It wasn't so difficult on me, because I don't know, it's just something you kind of get used to. You know, I was in Anchorage for 3 years, then I moved back to Florida to start school, and then I was there for 1.5 years, and then to Georgia for 3 years, and then it's like every time, or you only in a set area for 3 years, so you know after a certain amount of time, you just like, oh, it's on to the next thing. But you learn to deal with that, and then you also learn how to make, I guess, some meaningful relationships with those who you're around. It's you know, you make friends, you meet new people, so you're able to learn how to make those relationships, even though I didn't really feel like I got like lifelong friends until I actually ended up in Virginia, because that's where I was the longest. Yeah, it's amazing what travel will do for you and how travel makes you see the world in a different light, even if it's just traveling from St. Petersburg to Alaska to Georgia. I mean, those were all 3 totally different scenes that you were in.
Right. And I mean, I probably couldn't speak so much to, I guess, you know, cultural or living differences just because I was so young. But, you know, it definitely does change you a little bit.
All right. So those were the younger years. Let's fast forward to maybe high school. Where did you attend high school?
So high school, that was when I was in Virginia long before I got to high school. But high school, Petersburg High School, I was a 3-sport athlete, graduated valedictorian. So I really enjoyed my high school years. It really helped shape me, especially with the sports and things, and then being an athlete, a true student athlete, because I had good grades and I could play on the field. So.
Right. So you said valedictorian.
Yeah.
Is that the number one person or the number two? That's the number one person, right? Salutatorian is the second person?
Right.
Right. I wasn't running for either one of those, so that's why I don't really know.
It's cool, man. It's actually a funny story around that, because actually, like, I wasn't supposed to get it. The chick, that was right ahead of me by like points, such and such a points.
The young lady.
I'm sorry. Yes, the young lady that was ahead of me by a certain amount of points. For whatever reason, she decided to like give it up at the end of the year. Man, she ain't turning in some assignment, and I was just like, hey, if that we took all the same classes and we turned in all the same work, and she just like, I don't know if it was some type of pressure. Maybe she didn't want to get up and give the speech. I don't know. But it ended up landing in my lap, and I felt like, hey, I worked for it. I did what I needed to do, so it's mine. I'm taking it.
You know what it was? They call it senioritis, something like that. So yeah. She had probably been working her tail off from kindergarten and just burned out at the end.
Yeah, she was definitely that tight, but hey, it is what it is.
All right. So three-sport athlete. What 3 sports did you play?
I played football, basketball, and track. So football was the love, basketball was just fun, and then track I was just exceptionally good at. So I stuck with that from high school into college.
Most people aren't even gifted at one sport, but to play 3 different sports, that just shows your diversity and just a unique skill set. So not only were you a valedictorian, but you're also playing 3 sports. And you mentioned track, and I think track is quite different from the other sports. So I ran a little bit of track in high school. I wasn't fast or anything like that. I was average at best, but my coach said I had a big heart.
Hey man, sometimes I'll take that, because when you talk about having a team and you talking about somebody giving maximum effort, it's dudes out here that are super duper talented, can dust anybody, catch such balls, run the fastest 40. But I'll definitely take a guy on my team that has heart every day of the week, because he's gonna work for a common goal, and he might mess around and be the Rudy of the bunch and surprise some folk.
Yeah, so my biggest thing was I did a little bit of shot put and discus.
Okay.
With the big man.
Girl, you ain't that big though.
I'm not that big, but when it came to the big man relay, I don't know if you all did the big man relay.
Definitely did the big man. I love the big man relay, man. That is hilarious.
I was the fastest dude in the big man relay, so I got to get my props at the end of every track meet. It was awesome. We'll talk about that a little bit more a few podcasts from now. But talk to me about the dynamic between a team sport like football and basketball, and how that differentiates itself when it comes to track.
So basketball is just different in itself, because it's 5 dudes on the court, and those 5 dudes have to move in sync at all times. So they're all, I feel like, focused on a common goal. There's not a whole bunch of separation there. Football, you get a lot more separation when you transition that from basketball, because you got offense and defense. So when you're in practice, you're trying to show that, yeah, I'm better than you. I'm on offense. I'm the best dude on offense, versus the defense trying to knock your head off and show you why they the best on defense. So making sure that translates into an in-sync attitude on the field on Friday night or Saturday night or whenever you play can be a difficult dynamic, because if the defense feel like the offense ain't carrying their weight, or vice versa, it can be some headaches in the locker room, and I've bear witness to some of those. But then you get to track, and track is an individual team sport, because you get placed individually, you get medals individually, you score points individually, and you can see a lot of success individually, whereas you may be the stud on your team going to state meets, national meets, but your team is at home on Saturdays or at home during those times. So, that dynamic is a little bit different, because then your role kind of shifts. You if you're that leader on the team, then you have to really lead that team when you're in those dual meets or you're in those Saturday meets where people are competing, to make them feel like they're still a part of something and not that they pale in comparison to your shadow or your light.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I like to do that even though it's my show right now. I felt like during track, it was a different type of camaraderie and a different type of teamwork, because nobody was really encouraging you to go out there and root for your team member, but you had a lot of time in between events if you did multiple events. But I felt that's where you truly saw somebody's team spirit come out, or your support for a teammate, because that's when you would go and hype somebody up. So for somebody like me, I was somebody that they would come to hype up at the end, because they knew I was going to be in the big man race and I was going to be the last leg in the 4x1. So, okay, nice, man. That's awesome, man. And again, these are just things that have made you who you are today. And even in what we do in Fledgeology, I can always see those things that you do that are kind of behind the scenes, where you're getting us points and it counts to our overall team goal. So I'm not going to thank you now. I'll thank you at the end of the podcast. Hopefully, if we make it all the way to the end without me firing you.
Hey, man, we ain't going nowhere, baby.
Nice. So you mentioned that you ran track in college as well. So we'll use that as the transition to the next phase of your life, which would be college. And for all of the listeners out there, where did you go to school?
It's all about the U, baby. University of Miami Hurricanes. I bleed orange and green, and I can't stand that garnet and gold. So, yeah, all about the University of Miami, baby.
Yeah, the garnet and gold, the blue and orange, the gold and black, all of that. There's only one school in Florida as far as we're concerned. For those of you that don't know, majority of Team Fledgeology are University of Miami Hurricanes. So, yeah. I'll let you all marinate on that for a second. All right, awesome. What was college like? What was college like for Brett Jones?
Man, college was the best 4.5 years of my life, man. You talk about a little country/city boy coming from Petersburg, Virginia, going all the way down to University of Miami, the bright lights, big city. So that in itself was just, amazing just to have that experience. But then, the relationships that were made, the activities I was able to participate in, running track at a high level, at the university, all of it was great, man. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
What was your journey like? So take us through your freshman year. What was it like when you first arrived on campus?
Really? Honestly, man, it was a culture shock. So when I tell you I come from Petersburg, man, and the nicest car you see driving down the street might be a Lexus ES300, then you get into Miami, and I'm 17 at the time, and I'm at school with other 17-year-olds that are driving BMWs, 3 Series BMWs, 5 Series BMWs, Mercedes. At the time, the Hummer was the big thing. I'm at school with students driving this. So, to me, it was like, I never imagined being around this type of atmosphere. So it was definitely a culture shock. But, as a freshman, I don't know. I definitely grew up a lot my freshman year, and then even more the subsequent years, because I was on my own. A lot of things happen, to you as a freshman. It's like your cherry gets popped in so many different ways. So, I was just, happy that I was one of the ones who made it back the second semester and then the second year. And I just was able to keep focused. And I'll credit that to one of my football coaches, because Before I left for school, he, had conversations with me, telling me, how I was going to be as an athlete going down to this big university. And one of the things he told me, and it stuck with me even to this day, when I was doing my master's program, I still had that same type of schedule. But he was like, look, if you do school Monday through Thursday, everything else will take care of itself. And so that's kind of what I feel like got me through, because I was all about the books for the majority of the time, Monday through Thursday from 8 a.m. to about 9-10 p.m. or whatnot. And then after that, I got to have my little fun. So yeah.
Prioritizing is definitely one of the keys to being successful at school and even beyond school, even careers, family life. Prioritizing is key. So that's great that you had somebody there to give you that type of guidance. What was your major?
The major was computer information systems. I switched it from athletic training when I first got there because the clinical hours and me running track just didn't mesh well. So I knew I needed to do something else. And I was always interested in computers. I did a lot of that in high school. So information systems was the major.
And nobody realized that you were going to be a student athlete and you were going to start this major athletic training that was going to require time that you didn't have.
Nah, man, nobody gave me that good counsel before I decided to sign up, because I had always been interested in being a doctor. So I figured the athletic training would allow me to do both, and I would be able to be on the track, be in the training facility. When I graduate, I can go to orthopedic school, and finish out that way. But those clinical hours, I just didn't account for that. Nobody I knew helped me out with that. So it was just like, after that first semester, I was like, I need to see my advisor. We're gonna have to switch this, because it only grows exponentially as you get further into your career.
Absolutely the truth. That was freshman year. You switched from athletic training to computer information systems.
Right.
What other things did you do while you were at school? Because I always try to tell people that the classroom is the classroom, but then the time outside of the classroom is still the classroom. So what other things did you get yourself involved in?
So you had track. I was involved with a few organizations. Bond, I was involved with for a little while. UBS, United Black Students, for a little while. And then my sophomore year in the spring is when I got involved with the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Shouts to the bros, Omicron Delta chapter. We out here, root to the Q's. And that became, like you said, just as much learning as school was. So, after class, after practice or whatever, then I started spending a whole lot more time with the Q's, doing a lot of stuff from, civic activities, community service, mentoring programs, to throwing parties and things of that nature. So we was all over the place in Miami at the time.
Yeah, for all the high school students out there that may be listening, or the people that are already enrolled in college and you still have time left, don't miss out on the opportunity to take advantage of that small fishbowl of life, because everything that you get in real life is right there on your campus, your college, your university, whatever you call it. It is there. The politics is there. The whatever you want to call it, the classism, it's all there at your institution. Get involved. You'll be a much better person in society for it.
Yeah, especially like coming from UM. I felt like there's an organization for everybody. So whatever your interest is, I guarantee you can find something to get into. If you end up being one of those people that just get up and go to class every day and come home and study, I promise you will hate those next 4 years. But if you are involved and you get involved in these organizations, spending your free time, and then if you get involved in like the city or the community or whatever it is that, floats your boat or makes you feel good, it's going to make that time go by so much faster, and you're going to get a greater appreciation for the time you spent there.
You talked about Omega Psi Phi. What made you pledge Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated?
It was my coaches in high school. All of them, well, my football coaches, I should say, they were all men of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity. And for me, it was the way that they carried themselves in the school and the way that they kind of treated us on the football field and on the track. It was almost like, they were the father figures. They kept me out of trouble. Even though I had a good head on my shoulders, it's easy to get caught up, in the nonsense going on around you as a teenager. And I was really thankful for that. They pushed me on the track. They pushed me in school. They helped me get to the University of Miami. And I just felt like I wouldn't be all of who I was or where I was without them. And then just looking up to them, man, I liked the way, the air that they walked with. And I was like, yeah, I want to walk with that same air. I want to be around those same type of people. And then I went on a couple visits. I think I went to Morgan State for a visit, and it was during homecoming, and the Qs out there were doing something, and I had seen a couple step shows, and after that, it was like, that was it. That was one of the first things I did as a freshman when I got to UM, was send that letter to Dean Wilson, like, hey, I'm trying to, get on with the Qs. How do I do that?
I know a lot of Qs, and you said something that made me raise my eyebrow a little bit. You said the Qs kept you out of trouble. Is that right? Like,
yeah, man. Qs kept me out of trouble. They kept my head on straight as a teenager.
Okay. Because I know a lot of Qs, and I'm not even a Q, and I got in a lot of trouble hanging with some Qs. So
all I will say to that is, adults, grown men, they do what they want, but as a teenager, the Qs guided me the right way. They kept me on as close to the straight and narrow as possible and made me make good decisions. I remember one of my coaches always used to say, when you live right, the right things happen. So, at the time, that's all I was trying to do, and they helped me do that.
I'll take that. So let me just clean it up. I didn't really get in any trouble. I've had some of the most fun in my life has been hanging around the Qs.
And I'm gonna preface that with saying the Qs didn't get him in trouble because he a grown man. If he got in trouble, he got him in trouble.
Just so you know, since the time that you've known me, I wasn't always this age. I was younger at some point too. So you're saying I was a grown man, but I'm just letting you know at some point I was younger. I didn't just come out the womb this age.
That's fair.
Settle down before I mute your microphone. All right. Let's fast forward to graduation, man. So you graduate with computer information systems?
Graduate with this CIS degree. I'm thinking, yeah, when I graduate with this, I'm get into the government. I wanted to work in networking. But I knew, you kind of got to build up to that. So I was doing an internship a little while before I graduated. And
what year is this?
I graduated in 2008. So December of 2008. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So even me just saying what year it was, he already know what time it is. So yeah, I graduate with this nice CIS degree, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm ready for the world. And then life smacks me dead in the face soon as I get off that honeymoon, or get off the stage, get out of that honeymoon stage of graduation, and I start applying for these jobs, and I'm just getting hit with all these hiring freezes, or no, we can't take any entry level positions right now, or no, we can't help you with the training, or hey, I have this unpaid internship you can take, how about we go that route? And I'm just like, man, I've been in college for the last 4.5 years. I've been working, as a busboy here and a table worker there. And, I got rent to pay that I'm probably like 3 months behind on. And you telling me what? So long story short, my first job out of college had nothing to do with my major. My first kind of sort of real job was a hotel security guard. And I didn't get that until 3 months. And 3 months after I graduated. So it was rough.
Wow. So did you get to walk around with a computer or anything, like to make you feel like you were using the degree? Or?
I mean, I had my own computer. I helped my friends, remove viruses here and there. I would upgrade, people's stuff every so often. But outside of that, man, I wasn't in nobody's network. I wasn't, doing any images on anybody's network computers, upgrade no software. I wasn't working no firewalls, no servers, no anything. I'm walking up and down stairs at a hotel.
So you've got a bachelor's degree from a pretty well respected institution, and you're going around can't find a job.
Yeah, man. I feel like that whole college thing, man, I think it's one of the bigger finagles or shams or, just scams in life if you don't do it the right way. And I'm not saying that, don't go to college, don't better yourself, whatever, but I really do feel like you got to know what you're doing before you get there, because if you're not going to be a doctor or a lawyer, it might not make that much sense. And I guess we'll save that for a later date, but yeah, that's my stance on it.
Yeah, we will save that. And I think the key there is that if you go there blindly and don't know what you need to do for the right outcome,
right,
I think you definitely need to be able to leverage people that have been there in order to do things efficiently and come out of there in the best possible situation. Awesome. So when did you finally, what was the first job that enabled you to pay the bill collectors? What would you say was your first job that really started you off in your professional career?
So I would say the first job that started me off in my professional career, which had nothing to do with computers, by the way, would be when I started working with this charter bus company, American Coach, down in Miami. And the reason I say that is because I was given, and I do say given because I probably didn't deserve it at the time, but I was given an opportunity in a supervisory role, and I had to grow up a lot in that role. Shout out to Jay Kelly, one of my fraternity brothers, who took a chance on me and saw me through that situation. But that's probably what started me in my professional career as far as, like, I guess, management is concerned. Yeah, and then I took...
And what did you do for the bus company? I'm curious.
So I was an operations supervisor, man. So, I was a dispatcher at some points, but I was responsible, I was a customer liaison. So we would get contracts from like Royal Caribbean, the cruise lines, Costa Cruise Lines, or, the NASDAQ. I forget the name of that tennis tournament that they used to do in Miami, or
the US Open.
I don't think it's I think it's the NASDAQ Open. For whatever reason, I think it's Sony NASDAQ, because it's down in like the Grove or somewhere.
It might be, but I have no idea.
One of those tennis tournaments, but something like that, or even the Orange Bowl that they do every year. So I would work those contracts and basically make sure that the buses were running their shuttle route or whatever it is to and from wherever they needed to go on time, and that the customers were getting exceptional customer service.
Again, no computer, right?
Not unless I was in the dispatch office and checking people's routes or writing a schedule. Nah, no computers.
No computers. All right. So let's fast forward a little bit in your career. What do you do now?
So now I work with CarMax. I'm a buyer at CarMax. Still limited computer stuff. But before I got there, man, I did try to get back into the computer thing. I actually left Miami in 2011, partially because I was supposed to go into the military at that point in time, and it just didn't work out. And so I left Miami. I went back to St. Pete with my grandmother and stayed there to try to rebuild. I got on with Target. And while I was working at Target, stocking shelves or whatnot, I eventually, got promoted into a management position. But during that time, I was back in getting my certifications, things that I needed that were tangible, that I thought would make me more marketable as somebody looking to get into the computer field. So I was doing that, and, that still didn't generate the leads that I wanted it to. I still didn't come up with any type of computer job. But the experience that I got from Target in retail management is what led me to CarMax to continue with that retail management. So that has kind of been, I think, me taking advantage of my leadership capability that has helped me see some success in that area.
All right. But still no computers.
Nope. No computers. Not outside of my own tinkering and playing with my own computer. I tried to upgrade the RAM on my computer a couple days ago, man, and I swear, they hide the screws on these things pretty well. But outside of upgrading, RAM, virus removal, and plans helping set up people's networks, no computer stuff.
All right. Have you
Now
done any
is your time
additional
to fledge.
school after University of Miami, or was that it at that point?
Oh no, man. So once I kind of realized, I guess I came to the realization that the computer thing just wasn't gonna go where I wanted it to. I went back to school to get my MBA because I've been working in retail for so long. I kind of got a knack for it. I got good at it. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna get my MBA because I do have ideas of businesses and things that I want to get involved with. And I think that would help, just having that piece of paper. And then it was a personal goal as well, man. I felt like I started a graduate degree sometime after I left Miami, and I had to put that down for going through personal reasons. My car got stolen when I was in Miami, and I wasn't able to get back and forth to class, so I had to drop. So I figured, I'm gonna go ahead and finish it out this time. And I finished my MBA last year, and so.
What I'm hearing is a lot of just adversity, man, and diversity, and just a lot of things. So, how did you stay positive throughout all this, or did you stay positive? Were there some dark days in there?
Oh yeah,
how
man.
How did that happen?
There was a lot of dark days, man. When my car got stolen, that was a big one because I had just started this IT master's with Nova, and I'm busting my head. Like, 'cause some of this stuff I didn't learn in undergrad, so I'm having to spend a whole lot of time like studying and catching up. But it is what it is. I was loving the classes and everything, so I'm working real hard. And then like the day of a test, like the first test of the semester, my car gets stolen right from out front of my job at the hotel security thing. So, and the reason that was so depressing is because, one, I hadn't had my own car the whole time I was down in Miami. I was either bumming rides or borrowing somebody else's car. So when I finally got the money up to get my own, not only did man, that car, the Jimmy, man, Jimmy had soul. I had a GMC Jimmy, man.
Jimmy got soul.
Jimmy had soul, man. So when I first got the car, I ended up wrecking it and getting it fixed. I wrecked it because some police officer decided to shine his light in the back of my window, and it distracted me. And there was another car pulled over in the median on the side of the road. So I ended up sideswiping that joint. Almost lost my life that night. Me and Jay Sweet was in the car together. But luckily enough, the universal God, the grace of God, I was able to swerve enough to just sideswipe it and not hit it head on. But that happened, and then I got it fixed. And like a week later, like after I got it fixed, it got stolen. And not only did the car get stolen, my boots were in the car. When I say my boots, I mean my gold boots. So as the Qs, we wear gold boots. My gold boots were in the back of the car. They could have had everything else in that car, but if they would have left my boots, I probably would have been all right.
So were those the boots that you pledged in?
They were the boots that I pledged in.
Oh, that's terrible, man.
Yeah.
So you do realize that somebody from the shop you got to fix that stole your vehicle, right?
It might be. I don't know. I don't know, man, because the shop I got it fixed at, it was a Haitian dude I knew on the north side of Miami. So, and we were doing business together. I mean, he could have. I don't know, but we did a lot of business together after that. So I don't know. I have my theories around how my car got stolen.
I just want to go back. So you were working security at this time?
Yes, I was working security, and the lot that my car got stolen in was right across from the juvenile detention center.
Awesome. So it was a juvenile detention center, and you were working security, and your vehicle got stolen.
Yes, but the moral of this story, or the real point of this story, was yes, dark days. That was probably one of my most depressed points in life. And I had some others after that when the military thing didn't work out. I was kind of messed up about that because I had to, humble myself, and I had been on my own for so long. I had to move back in with my grandmother back in St. Pete and start all over. And I did slip into like a little bit of the depression, but luckily enough, I had a great support system. My lady now, she was around for all of that stuff. She was around for a lot of these things, and she really helped me get through those hard times. And then my family, and I had a lot of good friends. And so it's really hard to stay depressed when the people around you keep you uplifted and they keep you busy and keep you out of your head. And eventually, you get out of it. And I always knew I wanted more, so I still had that internal spark. So that spark with their help and their support, I was able to come up out of it and, start back up.
Audience, did you hear that? The importance of having the right people around you. A lot of us, we just have bums around us that all they do is mooch off of us and they take advantage of us, and we're always the ones that are helping them. But you see the value in having people around you that can help you. So, all right, let's move on, man. So what does your family look like now? What's your family life?
Oh, man. So, my lady, Kristen, she's a dental student, second year, University of Maryland Dental School. I have a beautiful daughter, Nia, and I have a handsome young man, young Q dog in the training, Kellen. He's my daughter is 7 and he is 3. So it's all 4 of us.
That's great, man. That sounds like a beautiful family, man. And throughout all of this, I haven't heard anything to say that you have the qualifications to be a moderator. Like, I didn't hear anything about communications classes or, internships at radio stations. I didn't hear any of that.
You know what qualified me to be the moderator?
What qualified you to be a moderator?
You. Because the reason I'm in this position right here as the moderator, not right now, because this is obviously, Carol's show today. But Carol is the one that put me in this seat, man. So he saw enough in me. He could probably tell the story better than I can. It was my idea, I guess, for the podcast. And, he threw me in the fire and was like, hey, this is something I want to see you do, and we're going to work at it. I was just like, speaking is not my forte. I don't know. This is not my comfort zone. I'm not good with this. But yeah, then you threw me in there. I started, hey, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And, that's what qualifies me. Your confidence in my ability is what qualified me.
Right. So a great speaker by the name of Les Brown said, sometimes you have to work through the confidence of somebody else that somebody else has in you before you can have it in yourself. I might have messed that quote all up, but it's okay. I think we get the general gist of it. So I want to go back to something you said earlier when you were talking about seeing somebody get their tongue stuck on the flagpole. Was that person you?
Nah, man, that wasn't me. I told you, it was a young man out there. I don't, recall who he was. I don't remember his name, but that wasn't me. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
I was trying to get you to contribute to another story, and you weren't picking up what I was putting down, but you're right. So you told me that this was not your comfort zone, being a moderator, being a host, speaking. For those of you that don't know, Brett, when you see him, he's always going to be the quiet person in the room. He's more of an observer. And then when he finally has something to talk, which that could be months from now, it's valid. But we do receive all the feedback that people give us about the podcast. And, people talk about Brett and his voice. And, he actually got a pretty sexy voice. I'm secure in my manhood, so I can say that. He got a pretty sexy voice. So it's amazing that people are listening. I can't listen to him. But this is just an example of somebody stepping out of their comfort zone and fledging. And we definitely want to thank him because he puts a lot of work into this, and he has a disability. His tongue has never quite recovered from being stuck to that flagpole. And I need you all, look, Fletcher Algin is an equal opportunity employer. We do not discriminate. So I need you all to get off of Brett. He's going to continue to evolve and to grow. And you all get to see it week to week.
I do not subscribe to that statement. Like I said,
man, that was a great story. Do not mess up a perfectly good story, man. Have you not seen, what is that, Beverly Hills Cop 2? Don't mess up a perfectly good story, man. That was a great reason as for what we're going through right now. All right, man, let's talk about Fledgeology. So people know you as the moderator, but what do you bring to Team Fledgeology? How did you get here?
How did I get here? So when I started in CarMax, I started in Miami. I took a transfer up to Maryland when Kristen got accepted to dental school, and Carol happened to be my immediate supervisor boss for a portion of my CarMax career. And in that, Carol knows a lot of people from the University of Miami, from my circle. One of his best friends is actually one of my best friends. So when I got up here, getting to know Carol, we used to hang out, talk, or whatever. He mentioned Fledgeology, and it was still, I guess, in its early infant stages. And so when he mentioned it, we would talk lightly of it. But as I finished up my MBA, I was talking with Carol one day, and he was, expressing, some of the things that they were doing. And I was just like, I had worked with this guy for some time. I had heard him speak. I knew he wanted to be he wanted to be a motivational speaker, and because of the way he spoke. So you got to understand, when Carol, we're in an office setting, corporate environment, he's speaking to a team of individuals. However, he never spoke in a manner where it was just about the office. Everything he said, it always resonated on a deeper level, or something like that would transpire or transfer into your life, like how you could live. So his messages were just like always amazing. And so knowing his gift, and just seeing that great potential in him, I was like, man, I want to help him realize this. And so that's what brought me to Fledgeology.
And we appreciate your contribution to Fledgeology, and I definitely appreciate you trying to help me realize my dream. And hopefully you feel like I'm feeding that energy back into you and helping you to realize your dreams. My ultimate goal for you is to give you a computer to work on one day, and that you get paid for it. Like, all that stuff that you did back in the day wasn't for not.
Hey man,
nice,
I call you Coach K for a reason, man. So it always I accept all of that.
Awesome, man. Well, look, man, let me thank you for all that you do for Fledgeology, and audience, I definitely want you guys to stay tuned. There's so many things that the moderator Brett has planned for the podcast, and he operates in so many different capacities with Fledgeology, but this is the one that he owns, and we're just grateful that we have him here. So, and then, man, let me tell you, I gotta thank you for letting me sit in your seat today and run the controls, and not being threatened that I was gonna fire you from this position. You can definitely keep this. This is a lot of pressure. I think you're the best person for it, and we're gonna leave you here running the show. So definitely tune in for the next few podcasts. You all will get to meet some of the other Fledge mates, and continue to subscribe and follow Fledgeology and the 13th Floor. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube. What else we on, Brett?
Stitcher, Overcast, Blog Talk Radio, wherever there's a podcast, podcatcher as they call them, we're there. So definitely subscribe, check us out, man. And just get some nuggets. We giving them out for free. These things are going to help you transfer your current state into something great. So go ahead, take that. It's for free. You can't beat free.
Absolutely. What he said is for free. Once again, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in to the 13th Floor, brought to you by Fledgeology. The 13th Floor, where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are amazing. We're out.
Great job, Carol. Great job.
Now is your time to fledge.